Very good evening to all of you. Now we have the two more classes, which is to be on all the topic, balance all the topic. We have completed ITC in the 2 class, and we have also completed the charge of the GST in 1 class. Now the balance topic like the place of the supply, time of supply, valuation, invoice accounts and records, etc. would be completed in the balance 2 class. So now you will see the 1 or 2 practical problem from different topics. See, this would be the way in which we are going to complete our today class. So fine, let me start. The first practical problem is on the place of the supply chapter. Determine the place of the supply along with reasons in the following cases. So you will find each and every case are different. You have to give the answer for every case separately. Mr. X is an architect located in Calcutta, providing the interior decorator services to Mr. Y of New York in relation to his immovable property located in New Delhi. I will try to explain some of the provisions also, so that it will have the more clarity in every case study. In the GST, to determine the place of the supply in case of services, we all know there are 2 sections, section 12 and section 13. Can you please tell me what is the difference between section 12 or section 13? Meaning thereby, in from each one of you, that in which circumstances I will apply section 12 or in which circumstances I will apply section 13. Very nice, Zarna Agrawal. Now, section 12 would be applied when the location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India. Both are in India. And where supplier or recipient, the location of the supplier or the location of recipient, anyone is outside India, anyone. In the given case, if I go and see that Mr. X is an architect providing the interior decorator service. So here the location of supplier is India and the location of recipient is outside India. Therefore, the place of the supply would be determined according to section 13. The place of the supply would be determined according to section 13. And in case of section 13, it says that location of the property would be the place of supply. So, Ms. Agrawal has correctly replied. Sriram, agreed or not? So now in this case, the place of the supply would be New Delhi. Now let's move to the next question. Mr. A. Very nice, Sriram. Really appreciate it. Mr. A is a chartered accountant registered in Calcutta. Supply the service to his client in Bhubaneswar, who is registered in Bhubaneswar. The brief background. Now, because both parties are in India, the supplier as well as recipient, both are in India. Therefore, I will apply section 12. Now, in the section 12, I can say that section 12 is being divided in two parts. If your case, if your transaction is covered in the specific cases covered in subsection 3 to subsection 13, कहने का मतलब क्या है कि अगर मेरा प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम, अगर मेरा केस is being covered in subsection 3 to subsection 13, then I will determine the place of the supply according to the respective principle. But if I see that service given by a chartered accountant is not covered in 3 to 13, service given by the chartered accountant is not covered in 3 to 14, rather I would say 3 to 14, in that case, it will be covered by the general principle. And what is the general principle? It simply says that location of recipient. If he is registered, in case of the B2B, a location of recipient. In case the service is B2C, in case the service is B2C, then if address is available in the record of the supplier, again LOR. And if address is also not available, in case of the B2C, address is also not available, then the answer would be LOS. So in my case, the service has been given to the registered party who is registered at Bhubaneswar. Therefore, the place of the supply would be Bhubaneswar, Odisha. So here I simply reply, here I need to determine only the place of the supply, which is Odisha. And Sriram has given the extended reply that because these are in two different states, so it is inter and therefore IGST to be leave it. Perfect, no problem. Thank you. Let's move to the another question. ABC Limited of Patna imported certain goods from XYZ of USA. Okay. The goods were imported through vessel and it is being delivered. Delivery was taken at Calcutta. So now the person who is importing, he basically belongs to Patna, but the custom, the port where he is importing, that is Calcutta port. After movement terminate where the goods are stored, and he is storing the goods at Calcutta. Now, kindly tell me that whether I will apply section 12 or I will apply section 13 in this case. यहां पर मैं कौन सा सेक्शन अप्लाई करूंगा, सेक्शन 12 और सेक्शन 13? Please give the reply in the chat. The answer would be absolutely correct. The answer would be it is not the transaction of service. So it is not covered by 12 or 13. It is the transaction of goods. And the goods are covered either in 10 or 11. What is the difference between 10 and 11? I can simply say if the goods is being import and export, then it will be covered by section 11. Other than import and export, it means it is domestic transaction. And then it will be covered by section 10. So my example is pertaining to import of goods. Therefore, it will be covered by section, absolutely correct, Jharna Agarwal. The answer is it will be covered by section 11 of IGST Act, and which simply talks about in case of import of goods, the place of the supply would be the location of importer. It is immaterial that at which port it is being imported, where it is being stored, it is immaterial. In the given case, because the ABC Limited belongs to Patna, therefore, the Patna would be the place of supply. Is it? Absolutely correct. Next question. Mr. X is a registered in Guwahati, has availed landline services from BSNL. The telephone line is installed in the residential premises in Calcutta, and the billing address is office of Mr. X in Guwahati. Absolutely correct, Sriram. Now, please tell me, Mr. X registered in Guwahati, telephone is being installed in the residential premises of Calcutta, but billing is being made to Mr. X Guwahati. Now, in this given case, it is being service transaction and both parties in India. Therefore, it will be covered by section 12. It will be covered by section 12. In the section 12, there is a specific provision for the telecommunication lease line services, which talks about if it is a fixed landline or installed at some premises, then the place of the supply would be the location of installation. It is immaterial to whom it is being billed. So here the location of recipient would be ignored. What would be the place of the supply? Place of the supply would be the place of installation, which is Calcutta. Therefore, West Bengal would be the place of supply. I hope it is clear and you all are giving the correct answer. No doubt about that. Let me move to the next question. Mr. X residing in Chennai is traveling with an Indian airline aircraft and is provided with movie on demand service for 100 as on board entertainment during Delhi Chennai leg of the Bangkok Delhi Chennai flight. So who is the location of who is the supplier? Indian Airlines. That is belongs to India. Who is the recipient? Mr. X, who is also belongs to Chennai. Not also who is belongs to Chennai. I can say both parties are in India. Both are in India, right? So it will be that covered by section 12. Now section 12. In case of service given on board a conveyance. Now, please note, it is a service given on the board a conveyance. So it is being availed on the journey during the flight, or it can be train, it can be any vehicle. In that case, if the service has been rendered on the board a conveyance, then the place of the supply would be the schedule point of the departure of that conveyance. What is the place of the supply? Schedule point of the departure of that conveyance. From where this particular flight is being started. It is being started from Bangkok. So in this case, the place of the supply would be Bangkok. Is it clear? Kindly confirm. This is slightly different. Very good case study. Is it clear to all? Kindly confirm that place of the supply would be the starting schedule point of the departure of that conveyance. It means the starting location of passenger, no, of that flight, of that conveyance, and the conveyance is being started from the Bangkok. Therefore, the place of the supply would be Bangkok. Is it clear? Now my next question. Now my next question to all of you. Will it be export of service? Will it be export of service because supplier is in India, place of the supply is outside India? Will it be export of service? This is my question. Now we are trying to compare or trying to link with the export import chapter because the place of the supply play the important role to determine whether my transaction is export, import, domestic, or out of GST. Please tell me that whether this transaction of Indian Airlines, where the place of the supply is Bangkok, will it be termed as export or import? Kindly give me the answer. The answer would be no. Answer would be no. Why no? In the GST, there is a definition 2 clause 6 of IGST Act, which talks about that there are total 5 conditions for export of service. And these 5 are cumulative conditions, meaning thereby we have to satisfy all the conditions. Then only my transaction is export. What are the conditions? The first is location of supply should be India. Condition satisfied because it is an Indian Airlines. Second is location of recipient should be outside India. Condition not satisfied. Why? Because the person who is availing the service is an Indian resident person. Third is the place of the supply should be outside India. Condition satisfied. Fourth is amount should come in foreign currency or wherever permitted by Reserve Bank of India, it can come in INR. This is also not satisfied. And fifth is supplier and the recipient should not be an establishment of the distinct person. Correct. So that assume it is also satisfied. Let's say. But my point is, in the section 2 clause 6 of the IGST Act, because we are not satisfying the 2 conditions, we are not satisfying 2 conditions, and as a result, this is not export of service. Absolutely correct. So I hope it is clear. Sriram, Ms. Agrawal, I hope it is clear, right? And rest of the participant. My humble request to all the participants, please be active in the chat to make the class more interactive. आप लोग जितना चैट करेंगे, जितना रिप्लाई करेंगे, जितना काउंटर क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, उतना क्लास इंटरेक्टिव रहेगा. चलिए सर, let's move to the another question. Mr. X of Kolkata purchased online ticket for Aquatica Water Park in Mumbai. Again, the example is of section 12, which talks about event-based services. Wait, there is one question by Pranav. Sir, but the location of recipient where he received the services was Bangkok. Shouldn't that condition? No, no. See, the person, but the location of where he received the service was Bangkok. No, answer is no. Why no? Read the question once again. Mr. X residing in Chennai. So X location of recipient would belongs to Chennai. It is immaterial whether he has taken the service at Delhi, whether he has taken the service at Bangkok, whether he has taken the services any part of country, whether in India or outside India, doesn't matter. If you read the definition of the location of recipient, then at last, if it is unregistered person, at last it comes that usual place of the residence. Assuming Mr. X is an unregistered party, in that case, Pranav, the last clause which talks about the usual place of the residence would be the location of recipient. In this case, it would come to Chennai. And therefore, even though let's say it's starting from Bangkok, but the LOR would be Chennai. Location of recipient would be Chennai. Is that okay? Now, X of Kolkata purchased the online ticket for water park in Mumbai. Simply, in case of there are two different provisions in the section 12 regarding the event. One is admission to the event and one is organization to the event. What is the provision will attract here? Mr. X is taking the online ticket. So he's basically entering the water park. He's taking the admission to the water park. So in that case, 12 subsection 6, admission to the event will attract it, and it simply says location of the event would be the place of supply. Location of event would be the place of supply, that is Mumbai. Absolutely correct. Sriram, Ms. Agrawal, and Pranav. Pranav, thank you. Our next question is Mr. Z, an unregistered person of Kolkata. Mr. Z is an unregistered person of Calcutta. Send the courier from Delhi to his friend in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, while he was in trip to New Delhi. What would be the place of supply? What would be the place of supply? In case of transportation of goods, section 12 subsection 8 talks about in case of transportation of goods, including mail or courier. If it is registered person, then location of recipient. And if it is unregistered person, service given to unregistered person, then it will be the starting location or picking point, I can say, from where the goods are handed over to the transporter for the transportation. In the given case, the goods were handed over. In the given case, the goods were handed over at New Delhi because Mr. Z is an unregistered person, and therefore the location at which goods were handed over, it is Delhi. So the place of the supply would be New Delhi. Correct. Mr. X is an registered person in Ranchi, Jharkhand, buys the shares from the broker in Patna, okay, on National Stock Exchange, Mumbai. Determine the place of the supply for the brokerage services. क्या होगा place of supply इस केस में? What would be the place of the supply? Give me the answer. What would be the place of supply in case of the brokerage services? Correct. The place of the supply for the banking and other financial services, including stock broking, it would be the location of recipient. It is immaterial whether recipient is registered or recipient is not registered. It says that location of the recipient on the record of the supplier. If the record is not available, if the address is not available, then the place of the supply shall be the location of supply. That we all know. Now the answer would be, in the given case, the answer would be X is a registered. So therefore we can say that the place of the supply would be Ranchi. The place of the supply would be Jharkhand. Why? Very nice, very nice. So Pranav, kindly participate in every question. Next question is XYZ. Now we will move to the another problem number 2. Last question of this problem, or last part of this problem. XYZ Limited, New Delhi, entered into the contract with an Indian Airlines for the supply of the biscuit packet for further supply by airline to the passenger in Kolkata Guwahati route, where the biscuits were loaded on the board in the Lucknow. Now, can you please help me to analyze this problem? Not simply you need to give the answer that what would be the place of supply. No, I would expect from each one of you that kindly analyze why the place of the supply, whatever you give the answer. Why that place of the supply? Will it be Calcutta? Will it be Guwahati? Will it be Lucknow? Will it be New Delhi? Along with the reason that why that location is the place of supply. Ms. Agrawal, I think you are giving the answer for the brokerage services, and that would be the Ranchi, not the Mumbai. So please give the answer. The answer is Lucknow. Now I would expect the reason why Lucknow. It is very simple. If the services has been given on the board a conveyance, if the services has been given on the board a conveyance, then as per section 12 subsection 10, the place of the supply would be the first schedule point of the departure of that conveyance, which we have solved one case study of that Bangkok. Now, if it is goods, then it will be covered by section 10. And section 10 says that the location at which goods were taken on the board a conveyance. As per section 10, subsection 1, clause E, it simply says that the location at which goods were taken on the board. Now, the supplier is located in New Delhi. The flight is being starting from Calcutta going to Guwahati. What would be the place of the supply? The place of the supply would be Lucknow, being the location at which goods, because biscuit is the goods were taken on the board a conveyance. I hope it is clear to all. Kindly confirm. Now, our case study number 1 is complete. We'll move to the another practical problem. Very nice. Very nice, Sriram. Question number 2, that is also on the place of the supply chapter. Independent instances. Now the Miss Purva, an interior design consultant having the office at Chennai, provided the professional services to Mr. Nikhil, who reside in Dubai, for his 2 immovable properties under single contract. One property is outside India, that is Singapore, and one property is in India, that is Surat. Kya baat hai, Pranav? Very nice, yeah. Very nice. Impressive, yeah. Sriram, Pranav. Very impressive. The way you are analyzing the answer, that is really appreciable. The next point is Miss Purva is an interior design consultant at Chennai and is providing the service for interior decoration at Surat as well as at Singapore. What would be the place of the supply? And more important, that contract is a single. Now give me the analysis and then I will give the reply. I'll wait for 2 minutes. After looking your reply, I will give the answer. This time, I will not give the answer at initial stage. I will first see your reply and then I will try to give my view. Sriram, Pranav, Agrawal and all other participants, kindly give me the answer. And it is a very important question. It's very important. Very nice question, I can see. Miss Purva, interior decorator in Chennai, providing the service to the person located at Dubai. The properties at which he is providing the service, one is in India, one is outside India. Contract is single. Then how the place of the supply would be determined? Very important question, I should say. Okay. So now Mr. M.O. Mujib has given the answer that on proportionate basis. So it can be the area. It can be on the basis of the area, I will apportion the contract. Is it? So you mean to say, Mujib, that this particular transaction will have the 2 supply. Two place of supply. One is Singapore and one is Surat. Is it? Let me see the other answer. Miss Agrawal has given the answer. Okay, you are also saying the same answer, that this particular contract would be a portion. Okay. So I have received 2 answers. for the same view, having the same view that this contract would be apportioned, let's say in the area of the properties, on the basis of the areas of the property. Any other view? Okay, let's wait for other participant. Let's wait for a minute only. Let me see the other replies also and then give me the answer. And this particular point I will explain in detail because it requires the detailed explanation. Oh my, very detailed. Just wait for a minute. As per 12 and 13 of the IGST, interior decoration in suitable different locations shall be the place where the first part of the contract is executed. The drug served first with providing interior decoration, both the properties. On the other hand, if the property of the Singapore is served first with providing interior decoration service, shall be the Singapore. Why you are saying first, first serve, where the first part of the contract is executed? Okay. Pranav is saying 12.3a, when the services are received in India, when the services are received in India, then the location will be the property situated. But when the service is provided outside India, it will be the location of the recipient. So in that case, one will be the Singapore, other will be the on proportionate basis. Sorry, sir, Singapore, but Dubai. Fine. Agrawal is saying, Ms. Agrawal is saying, sir, suppose a company is providing pickup services for, so that is a different question. Okay. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that. Some problem for understanding this question. What is the problem? With the help of section 12, I will go to the section 13 and then I will give the answer. Now, basically, what I'm doing here, I am explaining the comparison, or I'm doing the comparison of section 12 subsection 3 read of explanation versus section 13 subsection 6. What I'm doing here, I am doing the comparison of the explanation to section 12 subsection 3 with the section 13 subsection 6 of IGST Act and try to understand in detail because it may create the problem. Now, section 12 subsection 3, you all know that location of the property would be the place of the supply. Correct? And there is one more proviso. Talks about if the property is outside India. If the property is outside India, then place of the supply would be LOR, location of recipient, right? Location of recipient. And after that, there is an explanation, which talks about if the property is in more than 2 locations in a state or UT, then it will be apportioned on the basis of contract. If the contract is silent, then I will follow the rule 3 to rule 9 of IGST. एक बार वापस एक्सप्लेन करता हूं ये वाली बात. If the transaction is being covered by section 12. Very important point. If the instance or the case is being covered by section 12, I will see if the property is in India, then location of the property. If the property is outside India, location of recipient. If the property is in more than one state or UT, it will be apportioned. As per the contract, if the contract is silent, I will go to the valuation rules 3 to 9. But the very interesting thing, will this case is being covered by section 12? The answer would be no. Why no? Because section 12 would be applied when location of supplier and the location of recipient both are in India. But in my given case, the supplier is, once again, let me see, what, Chennai, na? Huh. Supplier is in Chennai and recipient is in Mumbai. Therefore, it is not the case of section 12. As we all knows, if one party is in India, one party is outside India, then the place of the supply for the services is being covered by section 13, not by section 12. Now, in the section 13, subsection 4, it is very simple, that location of property. It is very simple, that location of the property. But now try to understand why, what I'm trying to understand, what I'm trying to explain, explanation of section 12 subsection 3 versus section 13 subsection 6. What I like to explain, that the point of proportionate concept which we have discussed, which we have seen in section 12 subsection 3 ka explanation, it is something different for section 13. Now, whether the property is being located in more than one country, 13 subsection 6 says, 13 subsection 6 says that in case of the performance-based service given in subsection 3, property given in the subsection 4, event-based given in the subsection 5, if it is being given in more than one country, including India. So now in my given case, that the property, one property is located in Singapore, one property is located in India. 13 subsection 6 says, if there is more than one country, including taxable territory, then the entire contract ka value, entire contract ka place of the supply would be India. So if this is the case, that I have rendered the services, which services? 13 subsection 3, performance based, 13 subsection 4, property ke related, 13 subsection 5, event based. If these services has been given in more than one country, including India, entire contract ka place of the supply would be India. And therefore the answer would be India. Is it clear? बहुत डिटेल्ड में मैंने ट्राई किया एक्सप्लेन करने का. नाउ देयर इज ए वन मोर प्रोविजन 13 सबसेक्शन से. इट सेज दैट इफ इट इज बीइंग रेंडर्ड in more than one state or duty, it will be apportioned, no doubt. But 13 subsection 6 says that if it is being rendered in more than one country, including taxable territory, and what is the taxable territory, sir? The taxable territory is India, and therefore, if it is a single contract, the entire place of the supply would be India. Entire. I hope it is clear. श्रीराम थोड़ा सा डिफर कर रहा हूं जो भी आपने मुझे कहा, the answer which you have analyzed, and Pranav, I hope you also have understood. So entire place of the supply would be Surat. Absolutely correct. Yes. यस झरना, इस केस में प्लेस ऑफ द सप्लाई वुड बी सूरत अकॉर्डिंग टू 13 सबसेक्शन 6 of IGST Act. Clear? Fine. Thank you. Thank you. So try to differentiate the, see what I will always suggest with the place of the supply, and especially section 12 and section 13. Try to make one chart. Probably you all have prepared that chart. The different services for section 12 and different categories of the services for section 13, and try to compare, and then you will have the more clarity with respect to place of the supply. I usually give one case study always. So let me not talking about. Okay. Zarna has asked one question. Suppose the company is providing pickup services for the courier, and place of the pickup is Noida. Office of the courier is in Delhi. What would be the place of the supply? Who is customer? Zarna, who is customer? If it is registered party, B2B, then always LOR. If it is B2C, then the location of pickup, that is Noida. In your example, it is Noida. So therefore, the place of the supply would be UP. Supplier is located in Delhi. He will charge IGST. Your question is, your doubt is clear, or you have something different question? Is it clear? So the place of the supply would be governed by section 12 subsection 8 only. If it is B2B, because pickup is also the transportation of goods. Pickup services is also being for the transportation of goods. In that case, what happened? If it is being given to the registered party, then location of recipient LOR would be the place of supply. But if it is being rendered, if it is being given to the B2C, in that case, the location is Noida would be the place of the supply, being the picking location. Zarna, ek baar confirm karna so that I can move to the next question. Okay, your doubt is clear. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Now try to understand the question which I am giving and give me the answer. Suppose I am registered in Delhi. I am registered party in Delhi. I am visiting to Noida. And let's say I'm going to the Maruti ka showroom for my repair of my car. I'm going to the Maruti Suzuki showroom or repair center, wherein I am giving my car for repairing that car. Now try to understand two situations. Situation number one, if I am registered in Delhi, what would be the place of the supply? If I am not registered in Delhi, what would be the place of supply? So what would be the place of the supply for B2B, and what would be the place of the supply for B2C? In this current example, give me the answer. I'm only giving you 2 minutes. मैं रिपीट करता हूं, मेरा क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है. क्या क्वेश्चन है? I am the recipient located in Delhi. Supplier is Maruti Suzuki का repair center. I am handing over my car to Noida and then the repair services. What would be the place of the supply of the repair services by Maruti, that is Noida, if I am registered and if I am not registered? Very important. Try to give me the answer by analyzing the problem which you did for the last question. And that would be my last answer. That would be my last question for the place of the supply chapter. And we'll move to the another chapter. I usually ask this question most of the time whenever I'm teaching the place of the supply chapter. I usually ask this question because it is very eye-opener question. So one answer is in both the cases it will be Noida. Okay. Second answer is in case of the B2B it will be Delhi. In case of the B2C it will be the Noida. I have received two reply. Okay, in both the cases, place of the supply shall be the Noida, since it is a supply of the service to be done at the Maruti repair center. Now, Sriram, if I will ask which provision you are applying. Ms. Agrawal, if I like to ask which provision you are applying, you can open the section 12. You can open the section 12 and then give me the answer. What would be the place of the supply? You all have given the answer by applying which provision? Pranav. What is your answer, Pranav? Very nice. This point I like to highlight, the performance-based services. If I will check section 12 and if I will check section 13. Section 12, subsection 4. Why? It is a restaurant catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, healthcare, cosmetic and plastic surgery. Is it covered in my repair services of the car? Janvi, answer is no. Not Janvi, sorry, Ms. Agrawal, answer is no. The section 12 subsection 4 covered restaurant catering, beauty treatment, healthcare, cosmetic plastic surgery, personal grooming, fitness, etc. Nothing else. So performance-based service with respect to like car repair, etc. It is not covered in section 12. But in the section 13, it is covered in 13 subsection 3, clause A and the clause B. What is my point which I like to highlight? Because it is not covered in the specific one, therefore, I will apply the general principle. I will apply the general principle. What is the general principle? If it is B2B, then the place of the supply would be Delhi. If it is B2C, then the place of the supply would be Delhi. if Maruti ka showroom has my address on record. If not, then place of the supply would be Noida. Is it clear? Counter question or give me the confirmation that is it clear? Sriram, only point that this particular case study is not being captured or not being covered by section 13 because supplier is in Noida, recipient is in Delhi, both parties are in India. So therefore, it is covered by section 12, not by 13. सब लोग एक बार कंफर्म करो, is it clear? So I will end up this chapter, place of supply. Let's move to the another chapter. Slightly I am taking time, but I hope it is okay now. Slightly I am taking more time, but I like to explain also the logic of the answer. I hope it is okay. ठीक है ना? Fine. एक काम करते हैं, लेट्स टेक ए ब्रेक ऑफ शॉर्ट ब्रेक, 8-9 मिनट का ब्रेक लेते हैं. विल रिज्यूम एट 7:05. विल रिज्यूम एट 7:05. ठीक है. अशोक जी 10 मिनट का ब्रेक चालू कर दीजिए आप. हम लोग रिज्यूम करेंगे 7:85 पर. सॉरी 85 75 पर. SRK Limited. This question is basically on the time of supply chapter. So we have completed the place of the supply. Now this problem is on the time of supply. SRK Limited, registered under GST, is engaged in the sale of fabrics as well as doing the job work of knitting of yarn for garment manufacturer. The company provide the following information in respect of the order received for both sale as well as job work. Regarding the supply of the fabrics, they are saying date of the confirmation of the order on 1st August, date of the advance on 5th of August, date of removal of goods is 10th of August, date of issue of the tax invoice 15th August, date of the balance amount received, that is 50,000, on 25th August. Please calculate time of supply for goods after closing this question, and then we'll move to the place of the supply for services. Please give me the answer. What would be the place of the supply? Oh, sorry, what would be the time of supply? Sorry, what would be the time of supply for the fabrics? And then we'll move to the place of the supply for services. I am waiting for your reply. So the answer which you have given, that 10th of August. In case of the supply of the goods which is covered under forward charge, correct? 12 subsection 2 of CGST Act, which talks about that the date of invoice, which is 15th August 2022, or last date to issue the invoice. And if I go to the section 31, which talks about in case there is a movement involved, then date of removal would be the last date to issue the tax invoice, correct? So the last date to issue the tax invoice is 10th of August. And there is clause B, section 12, subsection 2, clause B, which talks about the date on which I have received the advance. So 5th of August. But point to be noted, this clause B is made redundant. This clause B is made redundant from 15th November 2017, partially in October 17, and almost completely in the November 17, meaning thereby when we are calculating the time of supply for goods for forward charge for regular dealer. Now, point to be noted, I am saying the time of supply of the goods for forward charge and for regular dealer, because the relaxation on 15th November 2017, what is the relaxation? You are not required to pay the GST on advance, has been relaxed only for the regular dealer. It means if the supplier of the goods registered under composition, he received the advance, he is still liable to pay the tax on receipt of advance. Considering this, the clause A, 12 subsection 2 clause A, the 15th August date of invoice or the last date to issue the invoice is 10th of August, whichever is earlier. So the answer would be 10th of August in supply of fabric. Is it clear? Very good evening. Namrata, काफी late. Kindly give me the confirmation. Is it clear? I hope it is clear. Kindly give me the confirmation, so that we can move to the service. Fine. What about the service? Now you please tell me what is the time of supply for this job work. You are requested to give me the answer for the time of supply for job work service. Very nice. As I told you that notification 65, which is being issued on 15th November 2017, has relaxed no GST on advance. That is only for the goods. It means services still need to pay the GST on advance. What is the time of supply for service under forward charge? For regular clause B would not be applicable. Therefore, we are not considering the advance. Therefore, we are not considering the advance. I'm giving the reply to the Pranav for goods only. He's asking that whether clause B would not be applicable for regular dealer. Correct. And what is the outcome? That we have ignored this date. Why? Because this is as per the clause B, and the clause B made redundant. Oh, no problem, Namrata. No problem. For the services, as per 13 subsection 2, because now these two dates are slightly important. Why important? Because let's say the service has been rendered completed on 15th September and the bill has been raised on 20th September, meaning thereby it is within 30 days. What is importance of 30 days? If I go section 13 subsection 2 of CGST Act for forward charge service का time of supply calculate करता है, it simply says if the invoice has been issued within time, it is within time only, then the date of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. What is the date of invoice? 20th September. Service के केस में ध्यान रखना, और payment 12th of September, whichever is earlier. I'm not receiving the answer from rest of the participant. Please give me the answer. सब लोग आंसर करो यार, 1 मिनट देना मेरे को, ठीक है? So, because I have received the advance, part advance, so I have to calculate the time of supply in 2 parts. First, I will say the time of supply for rupees 1 lakh. The date when I received the advance is 12th of September and the date of invoice is 20th September. So whichever is earlier, so 12th of September would be the answer. Now, what about the rest? 50,000. The date of receipt. What was the date of receipt? 25th September and invoice 20th September. Date of receipt is 25th September and date of invoice is 20th September. So whichever is earlier, 20th September would be the time of supply for 50,000. Now I have ignored the date of the removal of the goods. Why? I have ignored the date of the removal of the goods. Why? Try to listen. time of supply is basically for the services under forward charge is being covered date of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. Now if invoice is, there is another clause which talks about that if invoice is not been issued within time, then the date of service or payment, whichever is earlier. Now, from which provision I will say what is the time limit to issue the invoice for services? In case of the goods, section 31 tell me that if it is movement of the goods involved, date on which the goods has been removed from your location. Therefore, in the time of supply for fabrics, we have taken the last date on which invoice is required to be issued, being the date of the removal. But please remember, in case of the services, rule 47 will come into the picture, which simply tell that normally the time limit is 30 days. If I have issued the invoice within 30 days, no problem. I will consider the date of invoice or payment. And therefore, the 20th September will be the time of supply for 50,000. Is it clear? Therefore, I can say I have completely ignored the 15th September because the invoice has been issued only within 5 days. Invoice has been issued within 5 days. And we have the time limit of 30 days. Please confirm. Is it clear? एक बार confirm करें. Clear है? Let's move to the next question. On the value of the supply. थोड़ा सा बड़ा क्वेश्चन है, but you will enjoy. Jupiter Chemical Limited is a manufacturer of industrial chemical and having the factory at Haridwar. Registered in Haridwar, Uttarakhand. It has subsidiary Angel Traders Private Limited and holding 75% of its share capital. Sorry. So it says that he has the subsidiary company holding 75%. So by this we can understand that it is a related party. By this we can understand it is a related party. Correct? AT is engaged in the trading of the chemical manufactured by the JC. Now they are saying, and he is registered in Delhi. JC also appointed a consignment agent, popular distributor in Chennai and catering the Southern India market. Perfect. JC has also set up the state-of-art research and development center along with laboratory near the Haridwar factory and undertaking the testing and development services for the chemical from outside customer across the country. So he has some R&D unit also development wherein he is doing the testing. Following information are available for the month of April 2022. So now JC has one subsidiary company, that is AT in Delhi. It is also appointed consignment agent, popular distributor in Chennai. Correct. Now, JC supplies the chemical to PD Chennai during the month for rupees 45 lakh. The PD sold the above said goods to the unrelated wholesaler in the state of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh for rupees 60 lakh during the same month. Open market value is 55 lakh. And the rate is GST on the chemical is 12% and on testing development it is 18%. Fine, no problem. अब आप मुझे बताएं what would be the value? Is it 60 lakh? Is it 55 lakh? Is it 45 lakh or some other value? Please answer. एक मिनट मैं पानी का बोतल लेके आ रहा हूँ. Give me only 1 minute. Meanwhile, you all give me the answer. As per the valuation rule, Rule 28, which is applicable for the related party other than principal and agent. And Rule 29, which is applicable for the agent. In case of related party, because they are doing the transaction with AT, sorry, PD Chennai. What is the PD Chennai? It is the principal and agent. AT is the related party. So now first we need to discuss Rule 29. What is the Rule 29 says? First, open market value. If the open market value is not available, then like, kind and quality. Otherwise, Rule 30, Rule 31, something like that. But there is a proviso which talks about that instead of the market value, you can take 90%. Instead of the market value, you can take 90%. But very important, 90% of which value? 90% किस amount का? JC making the supply to the PD chemical, as per the valuation rule, I can take 90% of what? 90% of the price which is being charged by the PD to unrelated customer. Unrelated customer and not the same product, like, kind and quality product. Like, kind and quality product. Now, please note, you have to make it assumption. आप अपने working note में ये assumption देंगे कि that said goods to the unrelated. We assume that it is like, kind and quality product of the chemical, because it cannot be the same as per the proviso to the Rule 29. It cannot be the same. It should be like, kind and quality product. We'll assume that it is like, kind and quality product which is being given to the unrelated customer, unrelated wholesaler at rupees 60 lakh. So we'll take 90% of 60 lakh. 90% of 60 lakh, which is 54 lakh. So I have to make the Excel sheet also. Let me open that Excel sheet. So what is the value? I will take 60 lakh ka 90%. Yeah. So CGST, SGST and IGST. What is the rate? The rate is chemical के केस में rate is 12% into 0.12. Now here I can make the working note. I have explained accordingly. You can make the working note. Now the second is JC supplied the chemical to the AT. Here rule 28 will come into the picture. Here rule 28 will come into the picture. I am able to see, Miss Agrawal, your chat. I am able to see. Sometime you are not able to send the message. Maybe the technical, but currently I am able to see your message. Now they are saying that JC chemical to the AT during the month and same concept, open market value 90%. And this is very important. Why this is important? Because when I refer the rule 28, the rule 28 says if the recipient is eligible for full ITC, any value declared on the invoice will be deemed to be the open market value. Suppose this word was not there, not is not there, I can say the 30 lakh would be the value of supply. Because it says that not eligible for full ITC, I cannot accept the value being declared on the invoice as per rule 28 second proviso. Now, first proviso says same thing, that 90% of the price being charged to the unrelated, again, like, kind and quality product. So you have to assume, you have to give the assumption. Can we assume that ITC, see in the clause 1, see the difference in the rule 29 and the difference in the rule 28. In the rule 28, there is a second proviso which talks about if the full ITC available, you can, the value declared on the invoice will be deemed to be the open market value. But the problem is in the rule 29, the second proviso is not there. So therefore, Ms. Agrawal, I can say that you cannot assume in the question number 1 because there is no availability of the ITC available or not available, or it is immaterial ITC available or not available. Clear, hai na? Is it okay? ठीक है ना? Fine. So here I can say the 42 lakh multiplied by 90%. 42 lakh multiplied by 0.90, and I can say the 4 lakh 50. Is it okay now? 4,53,600. You can check the calculation also, but this is okay. If you have any doubt, you can ask the question. ठीक है. Second. Third. Now the third is JC export chemical to the South Africa with payment of IGST. The same was received in the convertible foreign exchange. Just 28 lakh, and the rate would be okay. It will be IGST. Correct. Huh? My question to all of you: suppose if it is written amount is not received in the convertible foreign exchange, will your answer be different? Let's say in the question, if it is written that amount is not received in the convertible foreign exchange, will your answer be different? Currently, I'm saying it is an export of chemical. But will your answer be different if I say the amount is not being received in the convertible foreign exchange? कई बार रिप्लाई आता है, कई बार रिप्लाई नहीं आता, ऐसा क्यों? आई एम नॉट able to see any reply from Sriram, Namrata, Agrawal, Miss Agrawal, Pranav, any participant. I'm not able to see any reply. My answer would be that it is not material amount is being received or not. Why? Because if you refer the definition of export of goods, see, if you refer the definition of export of goods, it is only saying goods should be moved from India to out of India. Very nice, Agrawal. Miss Agrawal, very nice. For export of the goods, it is immaterial whether amount is being received in the foreign currency or INR or something else. To consider the transaction as export, simply need the movement from India to outside India. That's it. There is some other provision regarding the refund. I'm not going into that provisions. Next, JC providing interstate supply the testing services to the various customer, okay, during the month. What is the value? 8,50,000. And it is interstate. Fine. Will it be zero rated? Then answer is yes. Pranav, because if you refer the definition 2 clause 5 of IGST Act, export of the goods, it simply says movement. Like export of services, Pranav, we know there are 5 conditions, out of which one condition is that amount should be received in the foreign currency. But if you compare the definition of export of service with export of goods, you will find that there is no requirement amount is being received in any foreign currency or INR. No, not at all. Even if you are receiving INR, no problem in treating the transaction as zero rated supply. Only problem which is with refund. I'm not going into the refund. Refund is a second part. But will my transaction be considered as export, zero rated supply in the GST? Yes. Because it simply talks movement for goods. Okay, fine now. Is it okay? So fine. I can say the interstate supply the services in India. Fine. Next is supply of the chemical to one of its customer in Mumbai. who required the chemical to be tested before dispatch and subject to the test report coming according to his parameter. Testing was successful and the charges is 50,000 charged extra. 6,50,000 is excluding testing charges. Now, here the section 15, subsection 2, clause B will come into the picture. If, not clause B, clause C, sorry. Subsection 2, clause C says if any charges being collected from the recipient like packing charges, etc., it will be added in the value. So the total value for this transaction is 7 lakh and it is chemical and given to Mumbai. So it is interstate, correct? So 7 lakh or it is 84,000 right now. Interstate, correct? It is Mumbai. So I am creating that transaction. Next is supply of the chemical at subsidized rate for the R&D activity not related to the business of JC to unrelated charitable association in Haridwar and open market value is 650. Because this question clearly says that it is not related. If it is not related, then rule 28 will not come into the picture. You can also say as per section 15 subsection 1, the transaction value, the money paid or payable, the money paid or payable would be considered the taxable value. Therefore, the amount which is being charged, that is 5 lakh, would be the value. It is it is in Haridwar, Uttarakhand. So the answer would be C plus S. Any doubt? Simple. Now let's move to the, okay, that's it. That's it. $30,000, 30,000 and 60 lakh 74,600. So this is the total liability. Now let's move to the next question. So we have completed one question on the time of supply. We have completed one question on the value of the supply. Now next chapter is registration. Comment on the liability to get registered under the GST law in the given independent situation. So all are the independent situations. Miss Ridhima is exclusively engaged in the export of ready-made garment from Rajasthan. Her export turnover during the year is 17 lakh. Apart from the export turnover, she has earned the interest on FDR 2 lakh. Now give me the answer. Now Also, along with answer, give me the reason, and I will make some permutation combination also. I will make some permutation combination for this question also. Give me the answer whether registration is mandatory in the given case. If no, or if yes, support with your reason. After giving the reply, I will make some permutation combination to this question. Very nice. So the first is export is an interstate supply. Export is an interstate supply. Correct, na? And as per section 24, first clause, it says that if you are making the interstate supply of the taxable goods, you have to take mandatory registration. As per section 24, if you are making the interstate supply, you have to take mandatory registration irrespective of your aggregate turnover. So I am satisfied with the question number 1, the reply which you have given for the question number 1. Now let's say it is intrastate supply. It is intrastate supply. And it is, let's say, 39 lakh. 38 lakh. It is intrastate supply, and let's say it is 38 lakh. In this case, whether Miss Riddhima need to take registration or not, mandatorily. Very nice, Sriram. Super, yeah. Pranav, बहुत बढ़िया. नम्रता, some network problem? No problem बेटा, no problem. Attention दीजिए, बस कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Now please tell if the intrastate supply is 38 lakh and interest on FDR is 2 lakh. So the aggregate turnover is 40 lakhs, right? My dear friend, interest is service. Interest is a goods? No, it is a service. In this case, now my another counter question. If interest is a service, then the threshold limit won't be 20 lakhs. Because we know that 40 lakhs ke liye, he should be exclusive, he should be exclusively engaged only in the goods. But now, one is goods, one is service. What would be the threshold limit, 20 or 40? मेरा स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन आप लोगों से सिर्फ इतना है इस केस में interest, which is nothing but the supply of the service, and goods total is 40, not exceeding 40. So will it not considered as service and goods, and therefore the limit would be 20? Or even after interest, it is treated as exclusively engaged in the goods? No problem. Thank you so much. Interest is only item of service. Try to listen. Interest is only item of service, will not create ineligibility from 40 lakhs. Wait. Will my aggregate turnover is 38 or will my aggregate turnover is 40 lakhs? In this case, मेरी aggregate turnover कितनी है? 38 है कि 40 है? What is my aggregate turnover? Then I will give the answer. पहले आप मुझे बताए whether 2 lakh would be added or not. Slight confusion you have created from your reply, by your reply. I confused because your reply. So give me the direct answer whether aggregate turnover in this case is 38 or 40. Aggregate turnover is 38 or 40 lakhs. Just simple question. Sriram, waiting for your reply also. 38 ki 40 aggregate turnover. Thank you so much. See, role of interest. Interest is an exempt service. Will it be added in the aggregate turnover? 100% yes, no doubt. It will always be added in the aggregate turnover. There is no denial to the fact. So in my current question, 38 plus 2, the answer would be 40 lakhs. Now, then what is the point of interest? We have discussed something that interest will not be added or something. What was that? See this particularly. If you are exclusively engaged in the goods, if you are exclusively engaged in the goods, then limit would be 40 lakhs. Intra. So therefore, we can say if you are only engaged in the service or service plus goods, the limit would be 40 lakhs, 20 lakhs. The problem is because interest is service, and rest he is supplying the intrastate goods. prima facie, I can say this particular supplier is not exclusively engaged in the goods. Therefore, the limit would be 20, not the 40. This part has been relaxed. The section 22 subsection 1 says, if you are receiving the interest income, point to be remembered, if you are receiving, supplier is receiving the interest income, it will not create ineligibility from 40 lakhs. What is being written? It is being written that if you are receiving the interest income, otherwise you are exclusively engaged in the goods, तो आपके लिए जो थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट है वो 40 रहेगी, 20 नहीं होगी. In this case, interest is a service which is to be added in the aggregate turnover, but interest income is still you will be counted that you are not engaged in the service. If I will exclude the interest, I am exclusively engaged in the goods. So even after interest, you will consider exclusively engaged in the goods. The limit is 40 and therefore in this case not require registration. Is it clear? एक बार confirm करें, because we have discussed some very important point which you have some different opinion. Not all, one or two. Please give the answer. Confusion? Sure, I will explain again. Let me zero. Pranav, if you are engaged in the interstate supply the goods as per section 24 clause 1, the limit would be 0. Mandatory registration. Okay. Let me re-explain. See, interest is a service. Exempt service, and it will be added in the aggregate turnover. There is no doubt. And you have also told me, you have also replied me this, that it will be added. Now question is, if I am exclusively engaged in goods, then you will say the limit is 40. Right, Sriram? If I will say I am only providing the service or I am providing service plus goods, then you will say limit would be 20. Now, if I see this question, I can say 38 lakh is goods and 2 lakh is service. So I can say it is not exclusively in goods. I can say correct now. And therefore, I come to the conclusion that the limit would be 20. This is no. What I mean to say, as per the explanation, to third proviso to section 22 subsection 1. Sri Ram, as per the third proviso के बाद में explanation है which says that a person who is receiving the interest income, is still he will be counted as exclusively engaged in the goods. A person who is receiving the only interest income other than goods is otherwise exclusively engaged in the goods and he is receiving the interest income, still he will be considered as exclusively engaged in the goods. And because of this reason, I can say the limit would be 40 for those categories of the person who are exclusively goods plus receiving the interest. So I can say in short, interest income will be added in the aggregate turnover because it is an exempt supply. But even though it is a service, but still it will be counted as exclusively engaged in the goods, and therefore the threshold limit for registration would be 40. Should I re-explain or is it clear? वापस बताऊं या ठीक है, क्लियर है? Thank you. And one more thing I like to tell. When you see the composition scheme now, when you refer the composition scheme now, it will not added in the aggregate turnover. Also, it will not create ineligibility from section 10 subsection 1. You can easily correlate, but in the composition, it is a double advantage. It will not create ineligibility like regular category, but also it will not be added in the aggregate turnover because it is having the upper limit. Thank you. Let's move to the next point. Anjana Enterprises is exclusively engaged in the trading of exempted goods under GST in the state of Haryana and has not taken the GST registration. During the year, its turnover is 47 lakh and also sold old generator of 1.25 lakhs. Very simple question. If one is exclusively engaged in the exempt supply, exclusively, section 23 giving the relaxation not to take registration irrespective of any term. Correct? Once he sold old generator, which is a taxable supplies, and what is the aggregate turnover? Aggregate turnover is taxable plus exempt. In this case, the aggregate turnover is 48.25 lakh. And section 23 will not give the relaxation in this case because this Ajanta Enterprises, once he make the supply of the old generator, it cannot be considered exclusively engaged in the exempt supply. And therefore, they have to take mandatory registration because it exceeds threshold limit. Correct? Very simple. Mr. P has presence in the two states, one in Haryana, one in Rajasthan. He is registered in the Rajasthan even without crossing the threshold limit. Okay. His turnover in the Rajasthan is 32 lakhs and his turnover in the Haryana is 5 lakhs. So if I will make it total, so 32 plus 5, it is 37, which is below 40. Is it mandatory required to get registered in the state of Haryana also? Now you have to give the answer in two ways. First, you have to give the, see, there is an, I can say the small lack of clarity. It is advisable to give the answer in both the direction. Meaning, first you will tell, even though the turnover is below threshold limit, because he has taken the registration in one location, so he has to take the registration in other location also, even though aggregate turnover is below threshold limit. Second answer, that because he has taken voluntarily registration in Rajasthan, in Haryana, because aggregate turnover pan India is below threshold limit, so still he has the choice whether to take or not to take the registration. So this is a question on which I would suggest please give the reply in both the way. Take the registration or make it optional. When one location is registered on voluntarily basis, another location, is it required to take mandatory? Because if I refer section 22 or 24, you will not find any specific provision which talks about this particular situation. कहने का मतलब क्या है, सेक्शन 24 में आपको कहीं भी नहीं मिलेगा कि आपको मैंडेटरी लेना है क्योंकि दूसरा लोकेशन रजिस्टर्ड है, नहीं, ऐसा कहीं नहीं है. So therefore you can say that because the threshold limit, because aggregate turnover is below threshold limit, you have the option not to take registration. So I would suggest to write both the way. Last, for the registration chapter, Mr. John is engaged in the business of buying and selling of the shares on his own account from the secondary market, and his income from this activity is assessed as business income from income tax or under the income tax act. During the year, his total sales turnover is 90 lakhs. See, section 25, subsection 4 is not applicable. Sriram, 25 subsection 4 is only defining that the one PAN multiple GST is covered under the. See, very good point you have raised. Let me explain that point to all. See, the registration is liability is being created either by 22 or 24. See, whether I am required to take registration, it is being covered by section 22 or section 24. I am talking about mandatorily. Voluntarily, 25, you can apply 25 subsection 3. See, 25 subsection 4 only say that if you have the one PAN and multiple GST number, it is called a distinct person. That's it. But 25 subsection 4 not talk about that I have to take registration in every state. No, it is only defining what is the distinct person. I have assumed. Assumed क्या लिखा हुआ है सर, लिखा हुआ भी है, एक मिनट आना. In Rajasthan or in Haryana. But you can say that it is an intrastate supply. It is within the state only, because if it is outside that state, then without crossing the threshold limit, it says that it is not covered by section 24. Sriram, any counter question? 25(4) only define the distinct person. It is not defined or it not create the liability on every location under that PAN if my turnover does not exceed threshold limit. Fine, no problem. Ms. Agrawal, is it okay? Is it clear? Your doubt is also clear? Okay. Now please tell me, because it is a business income, whether you need to take registration or not. Because it is a business income in the situation number 5, because it is a business income, whether this person, Mr. John, is need to take registration or not. What is being considered in the income tax? It is immaterial. What is being considered in the income tax, under which head it is immaterial? Whether you are counting this income as a capital gain or as a business income, no matter. Correct. If you are engaged in the buying and selling of the securities, which is neither goods nor services, the money and security is neither goods nor services. Neither goods nor services. And therefore, this will not be counted even if this is considered as business income, immaterial, not liable to take registration. Very nice, Rena. So again, I would request, let's take a break of 7-8 minutes. We'll resume at 8:15. We'll resume at 8:15 p.m. Okay. So, Ashok ji, Now, the next question is from the invoice, accounts, and records. Very simple and theoretical question. That to whom the dynamic QR code is not applicable when they are issuing the invoice to unregistered person. Question is very simple, that when the dynamic QR code is not applicable in case of B2C transaction. So I request everyone, give me the answer. It is a very simple and theoretical question, nothing special. So the dynamic QR code, first you will explain that it is applicable. It is applicable if aggregate turnover exceed 500 CR. If aggregate turnover exceed 500 CR in any of the preceding financial year, then on B2C transaction, dynamic QR code is applicable. It is not applicable for certain categories of the entities or businesses like banking company, financial institution, NBFC. Second, GT, goods transport agencies. Third is transportation of passengers. See, both transportation are covered. Transportation of goods and transportation of passenger. OIDAR, online information, database access retrieval services, and in case of export, it is not applicable. So these are the basically I can say that the businesses on which it is not applicable. Correct. So insurance, banking company, financial institution, GTA, passenger transportation service, OIDAR, multiplex cinema is also being covered. Now the next question, practical question. A central government department located at Uttar Pradesh located at UP. It entered into the contract with PSU. Government is entering the contract with PSU registered under Delhi. So interstate transaction for supplying the goods value of rupees 3,50,000. PSU argue that no tax is deductible on this supply by the central government because it is located outside the state of Uttar Pradesh. So they are saying because we are registered at Delhi and supplier is registered in Uttar Pradesh, so not liable to tax under CGST and SGST because if this transaction would attract IGST. And therefore, the tax deduction at source is not applicable. Please give your comment. So this question is, wow, Pranav is given very nice. So you should cover, Pranav, you should also cover that particular wala, kya naam hai? Export also, no? Because And you can also mention that if the turnover is below 500 crore, some more point. That's it. What do you come? What is your answer? So now, in case of section 51, the rate of the tax deduction at source is 1% CGST, 1% SGST. If it is IGST, 2%. So the logic reasoning given by the PSU is not correct because they are outside that state. The TDS is only applicable on intrastate supply. No, that is not correct. However, the supplies made by the government to the PSU, supplies made by the government to the PSU, or supply made in between all the categories who are covered under section 51, government societies, central government, state government, local authority, public sector undertaking. If they are making the supply to each other, then the section 51 will not come into the picture. The TDS is exempted, not applicable. Let me repeat again. In this case, because the central government is also liable for TDS, PSU is also liable for TDS. So if they are making the supply to each other, in that case, the section 51 will give the relaxation not applicable wherein the government is making the supply to each other or PSU or government societies, etc. So in this case, the TDS is not applicable, but the reasoning is different, not the one which is being given by the PSU. Would there be any difference if instead of the PSU, if it is a private sector? 100% difference. Because the private sector is not covered in the relaxation. If the private sector is making the supply to the PSU and PSU is being covered by section 51, and therefore if the amount exceed 2 lakh, then they have to, PSU have to deduct the TDS at the rate of 2% on all inward supply other than exemption. If the TDS provision and RCM provision apply simultaneously? Big question. In my view, if RCM is applicable, have to be discharged. TDS is separate. RCM is separate. If it is being covered by RCM also, let's say, in that case, these government entity who are registered for the purpose of section 51, they have to take normal category of registration also to discharge the liability of RCM. Sorry. Pranav, you are correct. You are correct. Sorry, I'm so sorry. It is more than 2.5. I'm so sorry. So correct. You are correct. Section 51 is giving if the amount is exceeding 2.5 lakhs. Is it okay? ठीक है. If the amount exceed 2,50,000, then 2% is the rate. 2% is the rate. 1% CGST, 1% SGST, or 2% IGST. Now, does it make any difference? Yes, it will create the difference because private entities are not exempted. So if they make the supply to PSU, yes, PSU has to deduct the TDS at the rate of 2%. If the private sector entity undertake the work contract for the above department in New Delhi, what would be the position of the tax deduction? And the contract is 5 lakh. Very interesting question. So the question is, if the work contract for the above department is being taken at New Delhi, when the contract value is 5 lakh, then what would be your answer? Give me the reason. Now, slightly means, see, basically what they like to explain, you know that there is one more relaxation. If the location of supplier, see, basically the question is about department. About department means this question has made in New Delhi. If the private sector entity, let's say it is located in New Delhi, undertake the work contract in New Delhi and the customer is in UP. Bilkul. See, this is the point where the TDS provision is also not applicable. And you know the reason why TDS provision is not applicable? See, the problem is, see, when supplier is located in Delhi, place of the supply is also in Delhi. We know that it is an intrastate transaction and C plus S would be charged. When they are raising the bill to the UP government, they are raising the bill to the UP government registered in UP. In that case, what happened? If this party deduct the TDS of CS, then that S would be of UP. But this supplier is not registered in UP. It is registered in other state. Therefore, I can say the intrastate supply wherein the invoice has been raised to other state. Intrastate supply wherein the invoice has been raised to the other state, so that other state cannot deduct C plus S of my supplier state. So that is the reason they have given that in this case, the TDS will not be applicable. So fine. Very small question, theoretical question. Mr. Anand Kumar, the regular taxpayer, filed the return for the outward supplies for August 22 before the due date. Later on, in the Feb 2023, he discovered the error in the GSTR1 return for the August 2022 already filed, and he want to revise. You are required to advise as to the future course of action to be taken by him according to the statutory provision. Basically, what they like to understand that what is the provision with respect to the revision of GSTR1? That's it. Very theoretical question. So in the GST, there is a provision section 37 subsection 3 for the GSTR1. It simply says that whenever you find the mistake, you can rectify. See, the revised return is not possible in the GST. You can only amend or you can only rectify the error in the future GSTR1. So in this case, when this party filing the GSTR1, Mr. Anand Kumar, is furnishing the GSTR1 for the month of the Feb 23, yes, he can correct the mistake of August 22. You also need to mention the time limit to rectify the mistake. What is the time limit? Can you please tell me what is the time limit to rectification of error? Time limit to rectify. This time limit is 30th November after the end of the financial year. So it will come 23 or furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. Furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. So this point you have to write that he cannot. Absolutely correct. So first you have to tell that you can rectify the error whenever you find the mistake, subject to the time limit. The time limit is 30th November or furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. 30th November after the end of the financial year. That's it. मैं ना आपसे एक नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा हूँ which is not related to मतलब means I can say this discussion. Let me ask very specific question. What is the last date and my dear friend, I can 100%, not 100, 99% I can say you will give the wrong answer. You will give the wrong answer. My challenge. Correct. What is the question? What is the last date to issue the credit note? My challenge that 99% participant will give the wrong answer. Giving you 2 minutes, give the answer to this question. What is the last date to issue the credit note? Okay. Let me talk about my question is basically section 34, subsection 2. Very specific. I am telling the section the number also. Please tell me you have only 1 minute. And after that, I will take 1 minute to explain. What is the last date to issue the credit note in the GST by the supplier? मैं 1 मिनट मारूं. My God, all are correct. So this 99% I've only used to just misguide you or to give the more attention. Very nice, yeah. Very nice. Sri Ram, Miss Agrawal, Janvi Agrawal, and also Pranav. The last day to issue the credit note will be October end. Because 34.2 is talking about declaration of the credit note. And will declare the credit note in the GSTR1. In the GSTR1, correct? And we can declare the credit note in the GSTR1 in the month of November. So that return would pertain to October. So max to max, it can be 31st October. Thank you very much. मजा आ गया. क्या बात है यार. Now let's move to the next question, which is GER Limited of Germany supply the luxurious car worth of 1 crore to IND Limited of India. ठीक है. Okay. Thank you. Is it so? Okay. Chalo, great. Yeah. So, GER Limited of Germany supply the luxury car worth rupees 1 crore to IND Limited of India before the car reached Indian port, but after crossing the territorial water of India. IND Limited sells it to TI Limited by way of the transfer of the document of title. Then TI Limited clear the said car for the warehouse and stored the goods in the custom bonded warehouse. TI Limited sell the said car from the warehouse to T2 Limited and T2 Limited clear the said car from the custom bonded warehouse. Now there are three parties involved actually. One is GER to T1 and then T1 to T2. So he is clearing, then keeping the goods in the custom bonded warehouse. And he is clearing from the custom bonded warehouse. And he sold the car on the basis of documents. Okay. So now, is the GST leviable on import of the goods from GER Limited by IND Limited? Sorry. There is one more party, IND. GER से गया IND को, IND से गया T1 को, T1 से गया T2 को. Again, GER has sold the goods to IND. IND has sold on the basis of the documentation. T1 is keeping the goods in the warehouse, and before the clearance, he sold the T2, and T2 cleared the goods. Whether GST leviable on import of the goods from GER to IND? The answer would be no. Is GST leviable on the supply of the goods by IND to TI? Now, please tell me in which case the GST would be applicable. Along with reason. Very nice. As per Schedule 3, Para 8A and 8B. 8B basically talk about IC's sale. If the goods are on ICs and you are selling on the basis of the documentation, no GST is applicable. Okay. Again, you are keeping the goods in the custom bonded warehouse, but you have not furnished the bill of entry for home consumptions. And before furnishing the bill of entry for home consumption, the goods has been sold to the another party. What is the T1 doing? Clear the said car for the warehousing only and store the goods in the custom bonded warehouse and sell the said car from the warehouse to T2. Then again, this is also being covered para 8A. Therefore, the sale by T1 to T2 is also not liable to GST. Now the GST leviable on clearing the goods by T2 from the custom bonded warehouse, this answer would be yes. The ultimate person who is clearing the goods and filing the bill of entry for home consumption, he has to pay custom duty, social welfare cess, and IGST. Is it clear? So which chapter we have did today? Place of the supply, time of supply, value of the supply, registration, tax invoice, payment of taxes, return and import export. So I have tried to touch 8 chapter today. Now, out of these 8 chapter, I will ask some quick round of the question answer. We have the 15 minutes. So last jo 15 minute bache hue hain, let me talk about certain question of which you will give the answer. It is a random question answer session. Is it okay? Shall we start? And now in the next last class that will be on Sunday, we will take up the balance chapter. अशोक जी आप अब सेंटर में कर सकते हैं मुझे आप. तो अब शेयरिंग नहीं होगा, स्क्रीन शेयरिंग नहीं होगा. थैंक यू. जैसे कोई भी क्वेश्चन जो माइंड में आएगा मैं पूछ लूंगा आपसे, ठीक है ना. Fine. I have purchased the cashew nuts from the agriculturist. Listen my question carefully. I have purchased the cashew nuts from agriculturist. I am a registered person. I have paid the advance in the month of April. Goods has been delivered in the month of May. Do I need to pay the GST under reverse charge in the month of April, or advance would be irrelevant for the supply of the goods? My question is very specific. Do I need to consider the advance for the supply of the goods and therefore need to pay the GST under reverse charge, because cashew nuts is fall under reverse charge? So do I need to pay the reverse charge in the month of April, or I can simply ignore when the invoice would be, goods would be received, then I will pay the GST accordingly. Give me the reply. Whether RCM would be applicable for the month of April, the month in which I have given the advance, or the month of May in which I have received the delivery. The answer is in the month of April at the time of advance. Why so? Please draw the attention that relaxation for no GST on advance is being given for section 12 subsection 2, not for section 12 subsection 3. What is the difference? Subsection 2 is for the forward charge, subsection 3 is for the reverse charge. So the relaxation is only for the forward charge, not for the reverse charge, and therefore because 12.3 no relaxation, the GST under RCM has to be discharged in the month of April. Is it clear? Next question. In case of the change in the rate of the taxes, section 14, they are saying if the amount is being received after such working days, in the section 14, they are giving certain number of the days. If the amount is being received after so much of the working days, then date of the payment would be considered, date of the amount which is being credited, that will be considered as date of payment and not the book entry. Normally, the date of payment is the accounting entry or the payment credited, whichever is earlier. But in case of the change in the rate of the taxes, they are saying if the amount is being credited after so much working days, then the date when it is being received, credited, will only be the date of payment. It means accounting entry would be irrelevant. Kindly tell me how many working days is being mentioned over there. Four working days. Next question. Let's say value, place of supply. I am unregistered person. And I have taken that training from Institute of Chartered Accountant. I am taking the training for ICE from ICAI, let's say at Noida. I am unregistered at Delhi. My event is being held at Noida. If I am taking that training and the bill is being raised to my CFO, let's say I'm an article student, I'm a student, article, and the bill is being raised to my CFO of Delhi. I am taking that training at Noida. Myself is a registered person. Please tell me what would be the place of the supply when ICAI is raising the tax invoice. Let's say GST is being applicable. Let's say GST is being applicable. So what would be the place of the supply for this training? Very good evening, Viraj. Coffee late. The answer is because the bill is being raised to CA firm who is registered in Delhi, then in that case, I can say the recipient is registered. It become B2B transaction. It become B2B transaction. And as per section 12, subsection 5, it says that if it is a B2B, LOR, location of recipient, so the place of the supply would be CA firm on which bill is being based. Mr. A belongs to Delhi. He has taken the ticket from Indico located in Gurgaon for UK trip. He has taken two separate tickets. One is from Delhi to London. Second is from London to Delhi. My question is, for London to Delhi, will you apply section 12? Will you apply section 13? Very right. Janvi, very right. Recipient is the person who is liable to pay the consideration. Will you apply section 12 or will you apply section 13 in this case? Okay, no problem विराज, no problem. ये तो recorded है तो आप बाद में भी देख सकते हैं, right? Will you apply section 12 or will you apply section 13 for the ticket from UK to Delhi? Absolutely correct. The place of the supply would be governed by section 12 because the Mr. A and Indico both are located in India. Let me go to the registration chapter. If I am making the supply of the service through e-commerce operator, let's say I am making the supply of the service through e-commerce operator. Let's say they are giving the facility. Let's say Amazon is giving the facility that a consultant can register themselves in the Amazon website. So I have registered on the Amazon website. Now what the Amazon is doing? They are arranging the customer. I'm giving the consultancy. So this question is, my turnover is below threshold limit. Do I need to take mandatory registration or not required? I am rendering the services through e-commerce operator. Then do I have to take compulsory registration or it is not required till my turnover crosses the threshold limit? Do I need to take compulsory registration or not required? Answer is not required. Why so? Because as per section 24 clause 9, if you read, it talks about goods as well as services rendered through e-commerce operator, provided through e-commerce operator other than 9.5. In that case, have to take mandatory registration. But later on, what happened? They've issued the notification in the month of November 2017, whereby they have relaxed that if you render the service, they are not giving the relaxation for the goods. They are saying if you render the services through e-commerce operator, then you are not required to take registration till 20 or 10, whatever the case. Once it crosses the threshold limit, then only it is required to take registration. What about the goods? In the goods, it is compulsory registration. Now, let's say the one platform like OLX. So I am registered with the OLX, and let's say I like to sold old furniture. I like to sell my old furniture. One customer has approached me through a OLX only, and he has purchased the goods from me. Now, kindly tell me, in this case, whether OLX would cover under the TCS provision or not. क्या OLX को TCS collect करना होगा? Give me the reason also. Give me the reason also whether OLX is required to collect the TCS or not required to collect the TCS along with the reason. Please tell me along with reason that whether TCS would be applicable in this case or not applicable. Answer is not applicable. Why? Because in case of the TCS, if the e-commerce operator is not collecting the amount from customer and giving to the supplier, then no TCS would be attracted. No TCS would be attracted. We have 2 more minutes, so let me talk about the last question for the day. In case of online information database access retrieval services, OIDA, the service provider is located outside India. Service provider is located outside India and service is being rendered in the OIDA category. My point is, when they have to take compulsory registration in India, in GST, OIDA, when they have to take compulsory registration in GST. This is the last question for the day. When? It's always. No, it's not always. It's not always. So, yes, Janvi Agarwal, my question is also with respect to that point. Section 24. But in which category they have to, in which situation, in which transaction they have to take compulsory registration? As per section 24 only. Thank you so much, Pranav. If they provide the service to the Indian unregistered person, so currently they are using the word non-taxable online recipient, NTOR. If the recipient is not registered in GST in India, then that service provided by OIDA to unregistered, the service provider has to take compulsory registration. Otherwise means if they provide the service to registered person, then the registered recipient has to pay the tax under reverse charge. That's it. Very nice, Janvi, Sriram, absolutely correct. Pranav, absolutely correct. So from my side, for today class is completed. Any question you may ask. We'll wait for 1 minute. I hope you are enjoying the discussion. You are enjoying the class. आपको क्लास और सब कुछ ठीक लग रहा है ना? Just confirm. And also, if you have any question, please raise the question. Thank you so much. So good night to all of you. Our next and last class would be on Sunday. Okay. Don't forget to attend the class. We'll enjoy the discussion in the same manner. We'll try my best to add the question from all the balance topic. I will try to add maximum whatever I can cover. I will cover. And whether GST is applicable on LD deduction, circular, master circular has been issued. Master circular has been issued by the CBIC, liquidated MS. All LD will not fall or will not be considered as supply, and therefore the GST won't be applicable in every LD clause. So majority in LD would be out of GST. सर लिक्विडेटेड एमएस के लिए तो इतने बढ़िया सर्कुलर इश्यू किया ना सीबीआईसी ने, मतलब जिसकी आप मतलब जितने भी पेंडिंग केसेस थे ना लिटिगेशन वाले, सारे लिटिगेशन के केस को कवर कर लिया उन्होंने. सर्कुलर था 178 इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, अगस्त 22 का है, आप एक बार चेक कर लेना. बट ऑलमोस्ट संतोष, ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द सिचुएशन आर बीइंग कवर्ड इन दैट पर्टिकुलर लिक्विडेटेड डैमेज नोटिस पे. ठीक है, और बहुत